Yo, what up, man? Welcome back to another episode of Millennials vs. the World. It's your boy K. Mims. I got Sensei behind the camera.
Wow.
We got Kobe, the new intern, with us. Look, man, the only spot you get authenticity and entertainment at the same time. Hey, look, man, this conversation will be super dope, man. And I said this before camera, and I say it now. When you're a black man having conversations with black men about black men, it just hits different, man. This brother been in the education system for 11 years. He's a counselor. He has a segment called Mindful Men that's super dope and consistent every Monday and Thursday. Cook, appreciate you coming onto the platform.
Appreciate y'all having me.
For sure, man. So to jump back again, like, how have you been, bro? Like, just life. Post pandemic, all the above. How's those things been, man? Because
Life been good. Different. You know, life hits. You know, definitely life hit us during the pandemic. But you know, you gotta persevere. You gotta know how to just bounce back and understand. Okay, things happen, but it ain't gonna stay forever. For sure. So for people who don't know, kind of give us some like insight on your background, how you was brought up, what it was like for you, and how you kind of got into the education system. Man, first off, you know, I grew up in Southeast D.C., you know, Washington, D.C., where, you know, neighborhood was the neighborhood. You in the hood, and that's what happened. Went to Anacostia High School, graduated from there, went to Montgomery for a year, then went to Bowie State, played ball. Shout out to my Bulldogs.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just been, you know, it's been love. You know, it's always been love going there. It's like a family affair. Even when we go to homecoming, it's like everybody comes back.
For sure.
It's a family. It's love.
Yeah.
And that's how it's been.
Yeah. So kind of tell us like how you got into education, where you started at, where you're at now, and kind of we get into the pros and cons, but just kind of tell us like how you got into education.
So I could say graduating from high school, man. When I graduated from college, it was like, okay, the real world is starting. I was confused. I was lost, trying to figure things out. Really didn't know what I wanted to do. Just know I wanted to give back, and just trying to stay focused. So I'm just working ins and out of jobs and just trying to figure life out. And then I ended up getting into the school system through a friend that we went to high school with. So I started at Cados as a dean of students, working there for a while. And then I started noticing, and I'm like, ain't no male counselors. I never had a male counselor before.
Me neither.
I always had women counselors. Even sometimes in college, you see a lot of women in the system. So I was like, I got to do something different. So I got my master's as a school counselor, started working at North Point High School where I'm at now, and it's just been a blessing just to be able to reach back and show them, look, just because where you come from don't mean you got to stay there. You know, your mindset has to change.
Yeah, so I didn't ask this question, but I'm gonna ask this now. Me, I work in a school in the city as well, and I know you hear the things about Southeast and all this different thing. How did you stay focused then to make sure you got out and you graduated and you got what you needed?
Man, it wasn't easy staying focused because you got friends that's in that life, but you got family also that supports you, that continue to push you. Like my mom was a single parent, but she had 5 brothers. She got 5 brothers, as always was on us, always on me and my cousin about how we need to do, what we need to do, how we need to get to the next level. So they took us out of the environment and showed us something different. So it was always about seeing the world and not staying stuck in one place.
For sure. Did you ever feel back then? Let me ask this: how many of those kids do you see young Cook in now? Like being in education for 11 years, how many times do you see young Cook when you're dealing with a young man? All of them. All of them. Yeah.
I'm saying you have some that's already, you know, they got both parents in the house, so they know how to focus. But then you got some that got both parents that don't. So you got to wheel them back in and let them know you have a different environment. You have an environment that can change and help the next person. And it's all about help. We're not going to help everybody. But if I could save 10, maybe that 10 can go save another 10, and we can keep something bigger going on, a ripple effect.
For sure.
So
it's dope. So before we get into Mindful Men, man, I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm curious by nature, so you just made me think of something else, bro. I think that's something that we don't talk about enough, and I don't mean this in a harmful, malicious way at all. You can't save everybody.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, but people think it's a bad thing when, I don't want to say you wash your hands with something, or you say kind of like, hey, I'm done with this. And I'm not talking about kids specifically, but I'm just saying in general. What are some of the boundaries that you got to set, whether it's with people or whether it's with somebody you're advising, when you kind of realize like they're not adhering to the help? Like, how do you know when it's time to say like, okay, you got to make this decision on your own and there's nothing else I could do here?
But sometimes it gets to that point where, especially working in the school system, you get to that where you want to help them. You still want to see them grow. You still want to do everything you can, but it gets to the point where they just don't try. When they not trying no more, when they gave up, you can see when they gave up because you'll see them not coming to school. You'll see them not turning in work. So you'll start seeing these things, and then it gets to the point, you contact home. You didn't have meetings, and it just get to that point where you're like, look, I poured all my water into you. So what are you gonna pour back into me? So if you go 100%, I'll give you 120.
That's what's up.
So if I'm pouring the like a glass, if I'm pouring the water in that glass, it's gonna start overfilling because you're not doing your part. For sure. But now I gotta refill myself so I can help the next student.
110%, man. So let's get into mindful men. First of all, major salute on the consistency.
Appreciate you.
Major salute on the conversation, the intentionality behind it. Just kind of start with like how it started, where it's going now, and what you do right now with it.
Well, Mindful Men was created because I have seen so many black men and men period commit suicide, or I had a former teammate that committed suicide. I have students that committed suicide because they didn't have nobody to talk to. They didn't have a platform. So Mindful Men was built off of having a platform for everybody to have a space to be comfortable enough to speak with no judgment.
Yeah.
So it's deal with current and past issues because we all have issues going on from our past and from current. But if you're not getting the proper help and you're not able to speak and able to let somebody listen, that's the key word, having somebody listen and not always having an answer.
For sure.
So you don't have to answer to everything. You just need to listen to what they're saying because they're going to tell you everything. That's just like with your students. They're going to tell you everything you need to know. But you just got to open your ears and listen and understand where they're coming from.
I'm sorry, yo. How much of this was naturally you, and how much did you have to learn from being mindful yourself, being a listener, being, observing a lot? Like, before we get into the conversation, I know you're gonna tap in with mindful men, but like, how much of that was you before you learned the actual technical parts of counseling? How much of these things were you? Before
coming to counseling, it was taught over time. It was taught in the home. It was taught from my mom, my uncles. Everything don't need a response. So sometimes it's all about listening and understanding where people are coming from. And you got to meet people where they are. Sure. Everybody's not going to grow with you. And it's okay, though. People, like I tell my students, people see you before they hear you. So your appearance is everything. So it's all about listening and understanding what's going on and really functioning and understanding that everything don't need an answer.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Real quick, it's Sensei, but as somebody who has been on Mindful Men, and shout out to the like K-Dot said, the consistency and just the dope conversation and space that you're creating. Can you just tell us a little bit about like the process of like you coming up with those topics? Because that's something that I've always wondered. Like, how do you come up with the Monday focus that helps you streamline into the Thursday Q&A when you do it?
So the topics come off of some things came off of just personal stuff, and some of the topics came off of just listening to other people, understanding what's going on and how, I look at other people that speak because you never know who's speaking. So I listen to them and I look at what they're doing. And things just come and hit you. So you could be watching TV and it'll just hit you. And you be like, okay, I can do that. All right, so let me talk about this in my next segment. Let me talk about this. Like I have a book from last year with nothing but topics in it, and I write everything down because, of course, a Mindful Men book, Volume 1 is going to drop.
Oh, salute.
Mr. Cook Care book is definitely going to drop. Yeah. So, it's things in the works. So
that's dope.
Yeah, for sure. So I was going to ask this. When you come up with that topic that you see like that, is your thing just giving it to the masses for them to digest, or is there a very intentional man that you're talking to? Because it is called Mindful Men. Let me ask you, is it for everybody? Or
it's for everybody.
Okay, so is there an intention? Yeah, for sure. For sure. So is it like intentionality between a type of person, or is it like when the topic comes, you like, nah, I want young people to hear this. I want older people to hear this. If you transition, or is it kind of like giving the great resources and conversation to people and let them digest how they see fit?
It's all about seeing everybody digest and see how it fits them.
Yeah, for
because
sure.
it can hit the young person, but it can also reach an older person too. Just like I give you one of the topics, winning wounded. You know, a lot of people don't understand what it means about winning wounded. Like, we all walk around, we've been in bruises, we have bumps, we have scrapes, but we all walked through a storm before that we ain't know was how we gonna get out of that storm.
For sure.
But you gotta bandage yourself up and continue to move forward. Our youth are going through that. They wounded right now. So they still trying to figure out how to win in today's society without keep getting wounded.
Do you feel like you could do that? Like, I love that. I love that. I feel like for me, somebody that lost their mother at 21, their grandfather at 21 too, it's kind of like one of those things. I don't think I know how to win any other way based off when it happened to me. You know what I mean? Like, I think I maybe turned 27, 28 when I like really turned to the next step of grieving. You know what I mean? It's a cycle. It don't stop. You know what I mean? But I like that you said that, because in my opinion, and I want to know yours, can you win any other way? Like, doesn't every winning come with a wound, or do you think there's some wins that's kind of woundless, for lack of a better term?
Some wins can be wounded, but not all of them. You know, you'll have some wins when you ain't got no bumps or bruises on you. It just happened because you prayed on it, you talked about it, and it happened. But sometimes some things gonna hit you, it's gonna be more wounds than it is wins. But it's all about how you gonna get up. Yeah. Are you gonna let the world keep you down, or you gonna bounce back?
For sure, 110%. So kind of transitioning to this, man, and these questions, I apologize. I know I sent you something that going that way. Like, speaking on vulnerability, right? How do you, I want to ask, did you learn to be vulnerable, or you kind of always had somebody to talk to? I heard you say your uncles, your mom, and you had siblings. Did you have somebody that taught you that? B, how important do you think that is for a black man's healing, to be able to be vulnerable somewhere?
I would say definitely you gotta know how to be vulnerable. You gotta learn from yourself. I've learned over the years how to do it. It took time. It ain't gonna happen overnight. It's gonna take some time. And I noticed with my son, you gotta be patient. Yeah. Because he's 3, but he's 4. He's the size of a 7-year-old though. But it's just about how you can understand, okay, he might be crying about something because he hurt himself, but it's not always, man, look, man up. It can't always be that. Yeah, At some point, we got to be like, look, sit down. It can be a little bit of that, okay? Right. Just a little bit. Yeah. We ain't going to keep, it ain't going to be no lingering thing. Yeah. You got to have conversations with them and just talk to them and let them understand, okay, it's okay to express yourself. And like at 3, you know, they can't say but so much, but they know how to translate what you're saying into a positive way. As long as you keep it positive, you good.
For sure.
And just real quick to chime in on like the black dad tip. So like as a black dad and kind of connecting it to mindful men, what impact and legacy, like just, and this is just like something that I think about, especially when I'm on the lives and when we talk about Cy and Deuce and even Cam too, like as black dads, what like do you usually have like Deuce in mind when you're doing this, or like so like that part of the legacy?
Definitely, always got him in mind. He's legacy to me. You know, everything I do, every step I take is all about him. It's all about what I'm gonna leave to my kids. I have a daughter too, so it's all about how, you know, that legacy, what it's gonna look like, what it's gonna persevere, what it's gonna push them through to that next level. Me and my wife both have 2 degrees in our house.
Salute.
So who getting the doctorates?
Yeah.
So it gotta be one of the kids.
Too, yeah. Oh, y'all not going? You're not going?
No, I'm good. I'm good. But it's like, if I go get a doctorate, so that means they gonna have to go get something higher than a doctorate. I don't think it's anything higher, but you never know. But they gonna have to do something bigger than what it is. My wife is a nurse practitioner.
Salute.
So that ain't easy job. Like, we don't have easy jobs, but when we come home, we had to set the tone in the house.
For sure.
This is how the house work. This is a home. This is how we work.
Yeah.
This is what it's about.
Living example, just being that living example for like, rather than just being the people who say it.
Got that Barry White on it.
Chill out. But being that living example, that real living example where they can see you being the person that you're saying you are, you walking how you talking, it's like the kids like to say big stepping, but really stepping for real.
For sure. And I'm gonna be honest, man, my master's came out of a competitive drive a little bit. My wife a counselor too. She got her master's first. And I was like, bro, we ain't have kids yet. I was like, my babies ain't gonna look up and see my little thing stop at one and see the other. No, that's real, because like we had the doctorate conversation, and you know I'm on the fence, transparently speaking, but it's just more so I'll be the first one in my family. You know what I mean? And that's one of those things that like I just don't want my son to see something. You know, it's all about visual, right? Like when you grow up and you see it, you feel like it's tangible. If I see a counselor, if I see a master's degree, it's normal to me, so I think I can get it. So me thinking about literally going to get it, so my son knows the process, like I can go get this if I want it, is big to me. So as a black dad, you know, and asking the question, how do you find balance in doing things for yourself and doing things for your little ones?
So finding balance for myself, like it's things I like to do. Like I like to go out and have fun. Sports, I'm big on football, so I'm always constantly watching football. My son's starting to get into it. He's all the way in it now. He loves it. But at the same time, I have to understand the balance of my balance in my home and balance in work. So you got to understand, when I get on my lives, my wife takes over of the house. So I'm live. So I'm hitting it. But then when I come off the live, I'm back being dad. So it's like it's dad time. Yeah, for sure. So it's not the same as all the time. So you got to be able to know how to balance the two when it comes to, even if you're in school. Like I had to balance when I was in grad school. My son was born. Oh, wow. So I was balancing being a dad and going to school. Oh, wow. My wife already had her master's. So that was like I saw her with her. I ain't get my master's too.
Yeah, for sure. That's how I did it. Yeah.
So, but that's how it is. You just got to find your balance.
So, because you don't get to have this conversation a lot. Can you kind of tap into your opinion on like the importance of marriage and supportive roles in your growth process, and how every black man kind of needs that safe space? And I'm saying this with the assumption that you will marry somebody that gives you a safe space for people listening. You know what I mean? I think that's one of the biggest things. How big has that been in your role of being able to be more of what you need because you're able to come here and express? Or maybe you knew that before you got married, but how big is that in this process?
It's more about, once you get married, you know, it's no more I. Yeah. It's a we. So you have to get the mindset of it's a we thing. It's not about you. It's not about what you can do. It's about what we can do. A lot of people out here say, what can you bring to the table? Nah, what we bring to the table. Like what chairs we bring to the table. For sure. It's not about what I can bring or what you can bring. It's about what we can bring together. So it's all about, like I said, bridging the gap. Like in the school system, you bridging the gap in your home as well. Because you got to have a safe space. If your home is not safe, then how you gonna be able to open up to somebody? How you gonna be able to talk to somebody? Because you don't have a safe space in your house. So you ain't gonna be able to open up to nobody.
For sure. And with you doing the work that you do, and salute to that, and being a counselor, doing Mindful Men, constantly, you know, saying a good word about mental health and things of that nature. What does it look like when you burnt out, and what do you do to get yourself back online? And how long does it typically take when you know you burnt? Because a lot of people don't know, counselors take on a lot, bro. The mental capacity. Just take on people, because I don't care how you want to flip it. You're taking on people's issues, and sometimes you may subconsciously, not you, but anybody, internalize something or leave work with it because it's still on your heart, or whatever the case may be. What does burnout look like for you, and how do you kind of get out of that?
It's funny you say that, because I won't be live this Monday, but I'll be back on Thursday, so I'm doing a self-care on Thursday. Okay, yeah. So it's all about self-care. What do you like to do? If it's smoking cigars, if it's like just having a glass of, I'm a tequila drinker, so a cup of tequila, even if it's just sit down watching sports. I go to the gym a lot. I like to work out. So that's a self-care moment for me, because it gives me my space. It gives me that time of, man, I can get it in. If I got some frustration, I done got it off in the gym. So I'm good now.
Yeah.
I'm in a different mindset. I'm in a different place now, so I can go ahead home and handle business at the house.
Yeah, for sure. Salute. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, just real quick. Especially, I got two questions. First, on the mental health space, especially, shout out to May. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So
Salute.
And definitely shout out to everybody, all of us. I know we are mental health advocates. Not only we don't say it, we do what we can to practice as well. But in regards to the mental health space, the first question is going to segue to the next question, but it is in regards to especially both of you all being married. Like, how do you also have those conversations with y'all wives as married men, especially black married men?
Which part?
About just mental health and having to taking that space, like that when you feel yourself getting empty. How do you usually navigate like those conversations in that space where we're all learning and trying to take care of our own mental health, and then you have the we reality where both of y'all are married men. So when you take that moment, it doesn't only you know who it affects when you take that moment too.
For sure.
So that's like the question.
It don't matter.
So I go with this, man. I'll tell you, bro. So I give my stats. I've been with my wife 14 years, married for 11 in November, right? Bro, so I got a little cheat code. When she went to counseling and started going to class, and she started showing me some of the things I never known, just about the space period, it helped me understand, like, oh, damn, I didn't know that was a thing. Or like how how emotions never go anywhere if you don't handle them. Like, but in the actual way where they come out in your tone, they come out in your body can be tensed up and stuff like that, right? Bro, having a conversation, honestly, like, I think this is what I think a lot of people don't realize. In order for me to be the best for you gotta take time. Like, you can't always, bro, I'm a dad of 2, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, a husband, have a business. Like, the conversation used to be hard because I felt guilty for what he said I could feel when you recording and you like, hey, go do this. Like, she got the whole house and you want to do your thing. But then it's like, I had to realize, like, we got to afford each other that same opportunity. You got to tell me when you burnt so I can look at you and be like, oh, go do your thing. You're never going to get an argument out of me when you burnt and you need to go do what you need to do. I need that person on the other side anyway. So go do what you do. But, bro, you stab at it, man. You realize the hardest part was self-awareness. Like, I had to realize when I was like, oh, nah. Because when I wasn't, start getting passive-aggressive, just come in a little attitude for no reason. You know what I'm saying? That's me, bro. You just keep stabbing at it. And then when you start identifying what you need as a person or what's going on with you, it's easier to say, like, hey, yo, look, my day was rough today. I'm going to go for this run real quick. And I need to step back.
For me, you just got to understand of what do y'all like together? Like, what's something that y'all can sit down and talk about or just watch? Like, me and my wife like to shot, so we'll sit down and watch it. Yeah. We like shows like that, but when she like the love and hip hop and all that stuff, I don't watch it.
Yeah, I'm not with it.
So I'm like, cool, I got the kids, you go watch your shows, have fun, enjoy yourself. Like, she go get her nails done, go to her hair, whatever you got to do to make sure you're okay. I'm cool with it. Just like go to the barbershop, me and my son in the shop, her and my daughter at home. Yep. It's just about how we operate together. So you got to find that common denominator of how y'all can work together.
Yeah, I definitely like that.
And something he said that really resonated with me too, that I had to learn this too. Like, the reason why I knew I wasn't doing stuff for myself, I was doing what sounded good, is because I would come back still burnt. Like, I would go do something and be like, nah, I need to do this, and I come back and then she'd be like, I thought you was going so you would feel better. And like, nah. So I think the thing is like, this gonna sound crazy. People think it's about, bro, I schedule time to be like, hey, this month on this Thursday, I'm gonna go be social. I enjoy it. Be like, hey, bro, like 3 weeks from now, like, I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna do whatever. But on this Thursday, said, like, bro, let's step out. I tell my wife it's cool though. This your social Thursday, Friday, Saturday, whatever. But I had to learn, bro. A lot of people don't check in with themselves and check themselves, man. So you gotta check yourself a lot, bro. That was a great question, man.
No, definitely. Now, I know even for myself, before I get into the next questions, like something I did recently, I got about 4 timers a day or alarms a day just to remind myself to check in with myself. Like, just take a second, like, all right, let me be mindful and think about what I got going on, how I'm dealing with it, and making sure I'm affecting and not infecting the people around me in a negative way, just to make sure I can be at least something positive, even though negativity is a reality too.
Yeah.
But the last question before y'all segue back is just about like being black married men for sure. Like, shout out to both of y'all because like
Appreciate it.
black men in the married space. Honestly, is not as small as people think it is, but it just doesn't get the light that a lot of people see for real. So just wanted y'all to just quickly chime on how it is in the black love space, because I think that's just a real dope thing. And we hear a lot of women talk about being in the black love space, but sometimes we don't always get the men's perspective. So just real quick,
I would say it's being married is, I can say, it's not for the weak.
For sure.
It's not for the weak. You really got to be in the right mindset and understand. Like I said, it's not an I. It's always a we. What are we doing today? What are we doing? When they hurting, you gotta understand. They hurting, you gotta be there for them. You know, my wife lost her uncle. I had to be there for her. So it's like you gotta understand what's going to happen. How are we going to get this through? And make sure we showing the best relationship towards the kids as well, because the kids right there, they see everything, they hear everything. So that's what it's about.
Oh man, bruh, to be real with you, man, like I think people think love don't mean work. You know what I mean? I think just the result you get from it on the other end be worth it. You know what I mean? I think what keeps me motivated is like when you keep challenging each other, being there, supporting each other, the result and the benefit you get it will always outweigh the work that you put in. To me, you know what I'm saying? Like me, and I'll be real with you, bro. My ignorance, I got my wife when I was 19. We got married at 23. My ignorance to some of this stuff out here helped us because I didn't get into it with all this, like what we talking about earlier, like what you bring to the table. We ain't talking about stuff like that. We was like, oh, I love you, you love me. Okay, let's go get married. And then, like, as you grow, you learn those things. But like, my ignorance helped me because I had a blinder to that stuff. I wasn't worried about, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's beautiful, bro. I think people, when you really get peace of mind in your house, like you said earlier, like if your house wasn't at peace, like, bro, when you start getting them things, bro, this other stuff ain't nowhere remotely close to it, bro.
No, definitely like that. Like that mentality that like ignorance is really bliss, because you get to ignore some of the random kind of unnecessary stuff that you see. So shout out to Millennials versus the world. Shout out to Mindful Men for always creating a space, man. For sure.
No problem.
I know one thing we talked about earlier, but I want to talk about again now. Getting back to the conversation around men, mentorship, being mindful. What do you feel like are some of the biggest disconnects, not just in the school system, but between like men and young men? Like, why is it so hard sometimes connecting, or what do you feel like we got that they didn't get, or that we were going for that they weren't going for, or whatever the case may be? What are some of the biggest disconnects you see?
I think the biggest disconnect when it comes to men and the young men today is that we're not on the same page. We don't understand each other. Like the youth be like, well, y'all haven't did this. They don't understand we've been through what they've been through. Theirs is just more social media. We didn't have social media. So they looking at it as, well, y'all didn't have these things to worry about. And some of it is true. Like they get a lot of bullying, cyberbullying. They get a lot of stuff going on. Not saying we didn't have bullying in the school, but growing up, we didn't see a lot of bullies. We didn't see all that you got to do this to be that. You got to wear the latest this to become popular. It wasn't that way.
For sure.
So when you see kids walking around with the $700 jeans on nowadays,
it's crazy,
and
bro.
They got the latest shoes, but they got straight Fs. So it's kind of like you're trying to figure out how can we bridge the gap between men and young men, and we all come together as one.
So let me ask you this: do you think social media should have an age limit? Like, not age limit, but like when you should start it? Like, I don't feel... Okay, go ahead.
I believe so. I think too. At a certain age, it should be... Because it's a responsibility. When you on that platform and you don't know what's going on, especially if the parents don't have like, oh, I need access to this or I need to see that. Then it becomes a problem. It becomes an issue. So that's the hard part.
So I think for me, I think the also thing having access to conversations, having conversations with people that may need to. Hold on, you got it. So I think having conversations with people with young people, with the information they getting, and it's like, you think that information is king, but you don't even have the experience to kind of relate to it. So you start digging and trying to make your own opinion about something that you know nothing about. And I think that the biggest thing about social media that we don't understand is it's a false reality too soon, and it blends into their real reality. And once it gets them, it's like, you can't tell them any different. So what I wanted to ask you is, do you think if you gave us social media when we were coming up, we would kind of have the same mindset, or you think times were just so different that it wouldn't?
I think our mindset was so different that we probably wouldn't post much stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Because our mindset wasn't always gotta be. We wasn't trying to be seen.
Yeah, for sure.
We ain't need to be seen. We need to be heard. You walk up to the pencil shop, they saw your fresh shoes when you had to go shopping at pencil.
Yeah.
So that's what it was about. We ain't had to be seen. They need to be seen. They need to be heard. They need to be seen on a different level. So we're trying to figure out a way of how can I build a platform for them to understand we've been in your shoes, but we trying to get you from your shoes to the next level so you can understand that you ain't end up in prison. You're not hitting the prison pipeline. You're not staying in the system.
Yeah, for sure. 110%.
And real quick check-in, like, also with social media, there is a real, like, age limit on social media. People just be ignoring it. That's a real thing.
That's crazy. I ain't
know that.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, you supposed to be typically, if not 18, like 16 and up, but a lot of the kids just ignore it because social media is popular. So I say that just to remind, like, parents, like, when you are allowing your kid to use these social media, make sure you, like, take that time, because it's stuff that we don't know, for real. Like, they not even supposed to be on this drink at 10, 12, 13, 14, because it literally is written that it can be damaging. So we really got to take that time to educate ourselves too, for sure.
How often do you just made me think of another question. How often do you feel this is a dangerous question. How much of it is parenting responsibility that you run into? Like, some of the issues that you see may be a parenting responsibility versus, because I'm in the school system too, right? Like, and there are certain parameters around what we do that you can only go so far and try to help so much. How many do you run into where it's like a parenting thing? You still help, you still do your thing, but like, how often do you run into that?
I think the biggest issue now is too many parents are being friends with their kids instead of being parents.
Yeah.
So you run into that issue when you're in a meeting and a parent is too busy taking the child's side and not understanding where we trying to go, how we trying to help them, where we trying to focus them on to get them to their next level.
For sure. So when I've had that experience, have you ever had to, let me backtrack. How do you find the grace and patience to always have it with kids? Is easier because you know they're kids and they're coming up, but like for situations, like where do you find the grace and patience that you have to maneuver around I mean, all the things you deal with? Like, where does it come from? Is it just your passion? Is it just, you know, your belief in what you're trying to do? Or is it one of those things where like the job requires it, but like, where do you find that from? Because I see that as hard sometimes.
It's very hard, but it's my patience. You know, it's my what I believe in, and you know, it goes back to, I always talk about a lot, the 3 C's of life: choice, change, and commit. So, are you willing to commit to your why and your goals to help somebody else? You have a choice to do things that you want to do, but you also got to change your mindset to get to that next level. So when you change your mindset, nothing else gonna stop you from helping the next person.
So when you talked about earlier, when you came out of school and stuff like that, so your mindset of of the growth and what you want to do was always there, or did you have a mindset shift somewhere in your experience that helped you be so committed to changing others' mindset? Like, did that happen for you, or you always had the mindset of growth and everything else?
Nah, it was a mindset shift. Because when I left college, that mindset was, what's next? Because NFL wasn't it, so it was like, what's next? So you had to figure things out. So once I changed and started noticing things and started seeing what was transpiring in our neighborhoods, that's when the mindset flipped to, let's continue to give back, let's continue to help.
For sure. And earlier, this conversation is really. Oh, go ahead, brother.
I had one question. So, like, as a future college grad, I'm graduating in like a couple of days. I just want to know, like, what was the difficulties that you all had to face after you graduated, like going from being a young man to growing into being an actual man?
I could say that it's gonna be some growth. It's gonna be some time, and graduating. It's gonna be fun. Graduation is always fun, but the real world sets in once the party is over, once the lights dim down. Now you got to figure out what's next. Where I'm going next, where am I passionate at? What am I passionate about? You know, you already been through some things. You seen it took 4 years to get your degree, or 5. It took me 5 to get mine. But it's like, you got to figure out, okay, I can go party every week, but when I'm going to get to the point where I need to step out of my comfort zone and do something that's in my passion that's going to help somebody else. Because after a while, you're going to start wanting to leave a legacy.
That was dope. It's hard to go after him, man. Nah, bro, I think it's one of those weird things. I talk to my little brother about this all the time. He just graduated in 2017. I tell him all the time, like, 2021. I tell him all the time, like, it's the weirdest part because you have all the time in the world, but you don't have all the time in the world to pick where you want to go. So you got to figure out where you want to go. That's hard because you got to try things in order to know that, right? Like me, bro, I wanted to be in education since I was 16. Got in, you know what I'm saying? Moving up here was a blessing. I lost my mother right before my senior year, so I kind of had this like driven, nomadic vibe where like I wasn't attached to things. But me knowing that I wanted to go this route helped me explore within where I wanted to go. So the best thing I would tell you is like, bro, you have time, but you don't have that much time to figure out where you want to go. And as you grow, you'll learn that like it's different avenues inside the avenue that you think is one thing. And bro, make mistakes, man. Don't be afraid of them. Fail a little bit. Now, when I say mistakes, don't do none of those mistakes you can't come back from. You understand what I mean? But I think it's big to like know that failure is a part of life, bro. Like you're going to fail. There's no way around it. And when you do, it's all about responding to how you fail, man. Holding yourself accountable, and things of that nature. But bro, just experience stuff. Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
Just to wrap, to chime in, like I'll just say, definitely like grow and attach to the people in your community too, because like one thing that I've realized, especially since graduating, was like find people like Cook, like K-Dot, like find the people who are doing the things that you aspire to do, so that you can make the right next steps, as well as make sure all of your next steps are a stepping stone to your next goal. So make sure every step that you're taking has some type of intentionality, whether that is known or unknown. As long as you know it, that's what matters the most. And definitely always remember, like, comparison is the thief of joy. So be mindful that nobody is you. So don't compare your situation to others, because you're going to start to lose yourself and thinking that you need to be like the next man, for sure.
For sure. That made me... Where's your thoughts on community? Where we at? The black community? Where we at? Where we need to go? And straight just your perspective on it. I know there's no right, wrong answer on that, but
I think in the black community, man, we lost. We at a point where our kids are so far behind when you look at other countries, other states, you know, because we don't focus on the right things. We don't focus on today. I've seen You know, you go on Instagram, you see the prom send-offs.
Yeah,
These kids
man.
pulling up in Rolls Royces. They got the Lamborghinis. They got stuff that, you know, of course, we ain't doing it. But at the same time, it's like, what is that's going to lead to? What's next? You can't be saying you pulling up in a Rolls Royce, but you living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and you know
That's real, yeah.
How are we going to build bricks? What legacy are you leaving behind? Like, you got to leave something behind that's going to be beneficial, because at the end of the day, your kids ain't gonna want your job.
Yeah, that's real.
So what you gonna leave behind to make sure they set up in the right place? They set up to win.
110%. Oh, so this is what I wanted to ask about. This is gonna be a tough one. Do you think it could change in our lifetime, or it's all about leaving it to our kids to change tomorrow?
No, we have to change.
But do you think we lay the foundation for change and they continue with the change, or do you think we can see the change that we laying out right now?
At the point we in right now, we have to lay the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
We have to lay the foundation to the point like our ancestors laid the foundations for us to live, to continue to grow. We got to do the same thing, and they got to keep it going.
Do you feel do you feel the pressure of having to teaching your kids how to maneuver this wicked world with still having the morals and values that you believe in? Because some things just don't exist anymore, right? So how do you find that balance of what you believe that they should have their morals and values and knowing how the world is in this realest time? I tell my friends all the time, with education, I see what your kids do when they away from you every day. So, like, how do you find that balance in, like, your upbringing, your moral and value system, and your principles, and making sure that you're setting them up to be successful in this current world that they're going to come up in?
Well, we got to understand, we ain't around our kids 24/7. So
sure.
we know they're going to do things we don't know.
Yeah.
We know that, but you got to make sure you set up the foundation on the point of they understand that, okay, well, how would I represent myself? How do you represent your family? So it's all about how you represent the Cooks, how you represent yourself, because people, like I say, people see you before they hear you. So you got to be a representative of your family. So it's as a whole. So, but if I'm not representing myself right, if I'm not showing a respect, yes sir, yes ma'am, no sir, no ma'am, they not gonna do it.
For sure.
So my son is already saying yes sir, I apologize, things of that nature, because I set the tone for that. So that's what it's about. Not saying he don't do stuff, because he do, but I ain't around him 24/7, so I can't say, well, my child doesn't do this. But the first thing me and my wife said to them, like, we just gonna be like, look, don't embarrass us when we come up to this school.
For sure.
Just tell me the truth, so then I can, I'm gonna discipline you, but I need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if you lie to me, that's gonna make it even worse.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and the hardest part, man, kids don't come with no book. They humans, man. Nah, people don't realize, man, like, I don't care how much, like, they have their own brain. They have their own whole setup. So being a black man that's raising a young black man, you know, we're going to leave the daughter out of it for a second, because I want to ask this, because I can relate to this. What pressure do you feel to make sure he's able to maneuver this world? Like,
it's pressure every day. Because you see the news, you see what's going on, you see the shootings, the killings. You got to make sure they're going to walk out the house and then come back the same day. That's basically what it is. You got to teach them the morals, the values of life, and at the end of the day, yeah, I grew up in the hood, but you ain't got to live that life. You ain't got to be a gangster.
Yeah.
I wasn't a gangster, but you ain't got to be that. You ain't got to be something you ain't.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with nowadays. A lot of kids want to be something they see instead of following somebody that they know.
For sure, 110%. So, bro, I know I'm killing you with questions, bro. But the more you say things, because let me tell you, my struggle is, right. Like earlier, before we got into this, you said something about the emotion of being emotional with your son, or to a point of, like, you can't say man up all the time and things of that nature. Like, I really do struggle with letting my son's about to be 4 in July.
My son too.
Yeah. So, like, letting him be a 3-year-old and still putting, in context to a 3-year-old, those foundational things down. Because it's some days, like, when 3-year-olds have bad days, bro, it's like their whole world is falling apart. And you try not to, you gotta let them be 3. You know what I mean? How do you maneuver that? And I'm asking this question really for myself, and I know you got a 3-year-old too. like, how do you maneuver that space of not putting too much on them too soon? Or do you feel like it's never too soon because of the world they're going to come into?
I think it is. Some things can be too soon because you got to look at it as we were raised in different environments. Like me, I'm 44. So we raised in different environments. So we grew up in an era where the drugs was real bad. It wasn't as much killing, but it still was killing going on, but you didn't see it as much. Nowadays, you see everything. They exposed to everything. Once they log on social media, they see everything. It's right there at the dropping hand. So you have to understand, like for my son, he's 3, he'll be 4 July 1st. So it's about, okay, you want to play football. Cool, you playing flag this year, but at the same time, let me teach you the fundamentals of the game. It's about having fun. You playing flag, it's fun. I know you want to hit people, but this is the fun part of it. Let's just have fun with it. Let's grow. Now, once he get to that point where it's like, okay, he really into it. So now I'm taking it to the next level. I got former coaches that are trainers now, so I can call them up, pay them, and train them, because it's getting to that point where he wants to do something bigger with himself, with the football life. Sure. And it's got to understand you're a student athlete first. You're a student, then an athlete.
For sure, 110%.
I know. Just to chime in, like my son just turned 4 in April, so like just to be in that space where understanding that you are helping to like guide and align the youth with their own goals, like, and remembering that I'm raising a young black man. I know, just remembering the things that I wanted to maybe be differently when I was actually coming up. Like me thinking about, all right, let me make sure that I don't respond and react in a way that I know I kind of was hurt and took some maybe more personal, just to help him navigate his own feelings and emotions. And not only that, but making sure I'm keeping things appropriate to the extent that he gets like, I'm taking my time so I can show him how to take his time, how to control his emotions. Like the main thing right now for him is like discipline. Like I'm making sure I try to do the things and do the activities that are put in place to make sure he can be more disciplined. Because when he knows how to control himself, he can have fun with more things, but also be in a space where he can do what he wants to do. For real. So, real quick, just while we're here talking about dad things, like, and especially one thing that I heard you tap on that I know Keenan is really big on, like your last name. So I know in the city they know you as Cook, and Millennials versus World has a segment that's called Last Name Loyalty, that's focused on like black men expressing themselves, their friendships, and how is it real black men, to not to divert the focus, but a lot of real black men take their last name seriously. So tell us about the loyalty that you have to your own last name, if you don't mind, real quick.
All right, that's a great question, because my last name means a lot to me. You know, it's about what I've overcome, where I came from, the growth. You know, it's about that legacy. I ain't named my son after me for nothing. You know, I'm letting him know we setting a foundation.
For sure.
I done set the foundation. Now it's time you to follow the blueprint. You know, you ain't got to reinvent the wheel. The wheel has already been made. So now it's time to keep moving, keep pushing.
For sure.
Let's move forward. Let's grow together.
Yeah, that. So I was nervous because my brother a junior. And so me and my son have the same initials, but that was one of the biggest things, bro. I think it's different. It just hit different when you see that little, and I know you have a daughter, so I got 2 boys. Like when you see that little dude and he got your last name, and you know that like he looks at you like you could do anything, and you got to figure out how to give him the best shot, bro. Like, cause I'm gonna be real with you, man. Like a lot of people don't understand, man. It's about giving your kids the tools to navigate. People want to change out. You gotta give them the tools. Like when something happened, like and I know we're gonna get into that, like conflict resolution. I'm big on that right now, bro. You gotta figure something out. Like even when they 2-3 putting on their shirt, I can't do. Nah, you need to realize that, bro. Keep stabbing at it.
Keep trying.
Yeah, like you can. So giving them the tools, man, it's everything to me too. Because my grandfather that I spoke about earlier, man, like if God rest his soul, if he was still here, he'd be going ballistic that he got 4 grandkids at Mims, and he instilled that pride in me. Like coming up, he come in like, remember you a Mims.
And just to like piggyback off that kind of perfectly, like the blessing that just to be in this space and hear these conversations, like I know I'm blessed to be able to have my grandfather still around, and like to be able to take my son, who is his great grandson, to his house, and for them to spend that time together, for them to be able to express the love that they have for one another and grow a relationship for generations. Like it really does hit different. Like it's something that you really can't quantify in words, but it's a feeling you get when you can create something like that, knowing that it's so rare because of the oppression and the violence that we've endured as a people. Like to be able to reach full 5 generations, like that's typical in a lot of other cultures. Like you can see some Hispanic and Asian cultures who live with 5-6 generations in a household, but we unfortunately haven't been blessed to even see stuff like this. So like to be able to be a part of like similar, my son has the same initials as me, and I have some of my name comes from my family. Like all of my names come from my family. So it's like the name that I hold actually has more meaning to me because it's really connected to the people who came before me, who laid those bricks, who laid that foundation that allowed me to now create a yellow brick road for my son to, like we said, be great. Now he has a path to greatness. So it's real.
For sure. Salute.
Yeah.
So before we close out, I want to ask, man, so like in the next 5, 10, 15, where do you see you taking Mindful Men, and what do you want it to be to the culture, to the world, and everything in the coming years?
Man, I can say in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, Mindful Men is going to be on a different level. It's going to change the mindset of every man and young man across the world, not just the U.S., but the world total. It's going on tour.
Oh, that's what's up.
I'm doing speaking engagements.
That's what's happening.
Books gonna be getting dropped. So it's gonna be a lot of things, this positivity that's going on. Definitely gonna come back and do the podcast again in 5 to 10 years, so it'll drop again, even before.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll definitely come back when the book drop.
Oh yeah,
so
for
y'all
sure.
get y'all free copy of it. But definitely, it's just about uplifting the community, uplifting men. Period. Making sure our young men just have a voice and they can be heard on different levels.
Yeah, for sure. And man, before we go, tell people Mindful Men when it goes live, what you're doing each day of the week and where they can find you.
So every Monday it's called Mindful Mondays at 8:30 p.m. If you look up Mindful_Men 2022, people like, why 2022? That's when it started. It ain't nothing meaning else to it. It's just when it started. At Mindful Men, if you go on, I got a YouTube channel. So if you go on at Mindful_Men 2022, I got the videos on there. Also, I have TikTok. You can go on there. Same thing at Mindful_Men 2022. It's just bridging the gap, man. It's just continue to just persevere and uplift everybody. We just trying to uplift the world.
For sure. 110%. Hey, bro, appreciate you coming on, man. Spreading the positivity and the talk around, just being in the talk around positive black men, man. Real safe space, man. So, hey, look, Millennials versus the world, man. It's your boy K. Mims. Cook came through. I got Sensei. I got Kobe, man. We out.